Now go home and get your fucking shine box.
Got it.
Does it in 4 chords? What does 4 chords mean?
You know.
On a piano?
Dun, dun, dun,
Any
dun,
instrument.
dun. It's Journey. Don't Stop Believing. The cast of Glee.
Dun 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 dun. It's 4
Why is that
different,
4? No,
It's just it's like some of the greatest rock songs, like top hits of like the last 30 years, have all been played with the same 4 chords.
no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then like you can mash them together. You not heard the 4 chord song?
No.
Allow me to share my screen.
when I just shared my screen.
I was like, oh, let me
Can I share the
share
screen?
my
And then
screen.
absentmindedly I decided to click share screen and it just sat there. Carried on talking.
I was sitting there and waiting for a moment. And I was like, is this, I thought you were joking.
Yeah, I was just carried on
Where's your
talking. I
back?
didn't even realize what was happening.
Oh, fucking hell. God, it's been a while since we've done this, isn't it?
What, podcasting?
Yeah.
Yeah, it has been. I have to shake off some of the rust.
Yeah,
I feel like
that's
seven-
what
I feel like-
I'm
I feel like-
doing right now.
Yeah, it's feel like 7 weeks.
That's mental.
Do you
Is
like
it
my
only 'cause-
background?
Wait, what?
That's sick.
Do you
Yeah.
like my background?
Yeah, I like that.
Star Wars.
Star Wars.
Yeah, well,
What did we
mate,
watch the other day that had a Yoda in it?
look like
What film did I watch? Oh, no. Is it a TV show?
Nice.
they're good.
The
aren't
the red eyes look sick.
they? Yeah, they do.
They make it look so much better.
Oh no, it's the Book of Mormon that had the Yoda thing in it. Yeah, that's what it was.
Very nice.
There's a little Yoda in there, wasn't there?
Hmm.
It's that actually, yeah, that one.
So we never did Beast, which we promised.
Roll over your onion.
Actually, no, to be fair, I deleted that bit on the end of the podcast saying we're going to do Beast, so no one knows
did you?
what's coming next. Yeah,
No one knows.
no one
No,
knows.
it's told everyone.
They knew.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Jordan. I'm Lee. And we are the Axis of
Is that too loud?
That's right.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And I'm
See how it
Benny.
sounds in the
Yeah, we've
podcast.
been a comedy rock band for close to 40 years now. And all that time, we've never had a hit. And I've just
Yeah, but you guys know why.
Why?
Because we never wrote a 4-chord song.
What do you...
What's that? What's a 4-chord song, Benny?
Well, if you want all the greatest hits from the past 40 years, just use 4 chords. Same 4 chords for every song. It's dead simple to write a pop hit.
Just 4?
Yeah, these 4. Here. 1, 2, 3, 4 chords.
Sorry, let me
That's
get
all you
this
need to
straight,
write a-
Chicken Little. What you're trying to say is you can take those 4 chords, repeat them, and pump out every pop song ever. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Fuck off.
Yeah, fuck off, Chicken Little.
Just listen. Do you recognize this?
Yeah, that is Don't Stop Believing by Journey.
It's a great song.
Very
There's
original
a few more that
song.
fit. Check it out. My life is brilliant. My love is pure. I saw an angel. Of that I'm sure.
Well, that's just 2 songs that are similar. That's not a big deal.
Forever young.
3
I
songs.
wanna be forever young. I won't hesitate no more, no more. It cannot wait. I'm yours. This is the way you left me. I'm not pretending. No love, no hope, no glory, no happy ending. 'Cause you were amazing. We did amazing things. If I could, then I would. I'd go wherever you will go. And she will be loved. Yeah, she will be loved.
Pictures of you, pictures of me, hung upon your wall for the world to see. 'Cause I can't live with or without.
You get the idea.
Yeah, I feel like I have seen that actually.
I think we watched it in music.
Maybe, yeah. Good thing I've forgotten everything that happened in school.
It's a coping mechanism.
You don't
The
mean to be
head to head.
grasped.
Whodunnits. Is it even a whodunit?
Yeah, yeah.
Kind of. Kind of is. Knives Out versus Murder on the Orient Express, the 73 version. 73 or 74. I think 73. Knives Out. A detective investigates the death of the patriarch of an eccentric, combative family. So this is one of the rare instances where a really brief, vague synopsis is kind of like it. Gives nothing away. It's just like, yeah, here's what we're doing. We're not telling you anything else. Fuck yourself. Ross, Knives Out. What are you saying?
Knives Out.
Yeah.
You just said the synopsis. Wait, did you? I was
I just
Don't
said the
worry.
synopsis for Knives Out, yeah.
Oh,
That's-
did
that's
you?
the
I
synop-
wasn't listening. It's because you said something about 1974 before, but then I stopped listening.
Yeah,
Oh,
I was trying
okay.
to remember if it was 73 or 74 for Murder on the Orient Express. Then I said Knives Out and then read the synopsis of Knives
Oh,
Out.
right. Yeah, sorry. I'll listen next time. Yeah, like Knives Out. It's one of them, like, I remember when it came out, everyone was saying like how well written it is and that kind of stuff. And I never watched it like when it first came out. I just remember hearing all of that, and there's loads of praise for it in that sense. So I think I waited until it came out on like Prime, and I watched it. And since then, I've watched it. This must have been like the third or fourth time I've watched it because like it's insane. Like I love this movie so much. I think it is. It's my favorite out of the three we've watched this week. And I think it just has like the most layers to it, and the most enjoyable characters as well. Like the characters as well. Like the whole dynamic of the whole family is so like they're just really eccentric. Like all of them in their own way, and I think quite a lot of them like are likable in weird ways as well. But like Christopher Plummer's really likable with it, like his character, and Anna de Armas is, and like Daniel Craig is just, I think, being at the center of it with that, like, I think like it's the same kind of like Poirot character, like with like a quirky accent kind of thing, but obviously they couldn't copy the French, it'd be too obviously copied, I think, but giving him like a deep southern kind of accent is the way they went with it, and it works really well. It's kind of like quite slapsticky in a way, but it works well with the film, and I think it's out of all these films, it's the one that really leaves you thinking like, who actually was it? Like I can't like work it, like you're going along with them trying to work it out, be like, so what does that mean? What does that mean? Yeah, so really enjoyable.
Yeah, you mentioned the word layers. I feel like that's the key thing with Knives Out, because it's like a different perspective to come at it from, in terms of you think you're watching one film in terms of her trying to cover up the supposed crime that she'd committed at the start, and then kind of more things unravel and you get a sense of what's actually going on in the story. So yeah, so a lot of interesting things going on in Knives Out. Matt, did you enjoy? Pretty sure you'd seen it before. You enjoy your rewatch?
Whodunnits. You will.
No. Nothing, no.
It's one of my favorite whodunit films, and probably one of my favorite films in general. It kind of has that really like powerful attraction of just a really solid and memorable cast, I think. And having all these characters, all these actors play characters that are somewhat outside their usual roles is actually quite interesting. And yeah, just a really well layered, as Ross was saying, story and mystery, but also layered in such like a memorable way that at the end it's kind of it feels like it's pulled out a solution that kind of makes sense throughout the film, and it's not kind of like, I don't know, it's not far-fetched. It works within the story, and you can kind of make those inferences almost yourself quite quickly, and it doesn't feel like it needs too much exposition. Even though there's a lot of exposition, it feels quite natural. So yeah, I really enjoy this film.
Speaking of exposition, Murder on the Orient Express. In December 1935, when his transcontinental luxury train is stranded by deep snow, Detective Hercule Poirot is called on to solve a murder that occurred in his car the night before with a multitude of suspects. Pretty iconic iconic brand. I think obviously Agatha Christie has an iconic brand. Hercule Poirot, iconic. Murder on the Orient Express, whether it's the novel, whereas this film, whether it's the recent modern adaptation, everyone kind of knows. You say Murder on the Orient Express, everyone kind of knows what you're talking about. So it's interesting to actually sit down and watch an Agatha Christie joint, so to speak. And I don't know, I was a bit underwhelmed. Not gonna lie, Ross. What are your first impressions of the Is the first film adaptation, maybe second, of Agatha Christie's novel?
Yeah, so I had quite high expectations of this because obviously, yeah, so as you were saying, it's a really well known kind of name, the Murder on the Orient Express, and then Poirot himself is meant to be like this iconic person. He has like TV series and stuff now for him, but I as well was underwhelmed. I think Knives Out, when comparing it to like Knives Out plays out so well, but this one kind of it's just an introduction to the characters, interviewing all the characters. Then this is what Poirot thinks, mixed in with a load of like little flashback kind of bits, and it's not as like fleshed out as you'd hoped it be. So I don't really know how I feel about this one. It's just kind of, as you say, it was kind of underwhelming, and yeah, it's like I wanted more from it, and I was also kind of like disappointed by the ending and finding out that like everyone murdered him. Or like, it was like a weird ending. I think that didn't quite fit in my mind, but maybe from the novel it makes more sense. Maybe the movie doesn't flesh out as much as the novel might do. I don't know, but yeah, as you said, underwhelming.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. After I finished it, I was like, I reckon, even though I didn't massively enjoy watching that film, I reckon the novel still bangs because of the complicated nature of these characters and how they're all linked and everything. I could tell like if it was fleshed out in a novel, it'd be pretty cool. And watching that all kind of everything culminating towards the end would feel more satisfying if you had the depth of information you could get in a novel. That's kind of what I was thinking. But as a film, May, I don't know, did it work for you more than it did for us too?
Because I at first was quite keen to watch the newer version. It was a 2017 version of Orient Express because it had like a nice familiar cast, and obviously that has quite bad reviews. And then this with like an 8.6 is supposed to be really good. So I was like, okay, it's obviously going to be one of the first kind of whodunit cinema films that kind of really paves the way, excuse me, for like the rest of cinema. And it didn't really feel like that at all. I think if I'd watched this, I wouldn't really want to go see any more. I think also the Poirot as well, the portrayal just wasn't what I was used to, because I've seen quite a lot of Poirot in the TV series, in the Agatha Christie's one. And then this portrayal, he's quite unlikable. He's quite annoying, to be honest. And I don't like the way he talks and the way he just is as a person in this. And I think having a dislikable main character and then a kind of a plot or kind of a mystery that you're not even really attached to, it didn't really kind of work for me. I wasn't really invested to start with. And I appreciate what they did. It's kind of a very complicated story and it's an interesting way to work backwards from it. But yeah, I didn't really enjoy it at all. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny you say that about the TV show as we go into the category starting with performances. Yeah, like I hadn't watched any Agatha Christie property. Like I never sat down properly and watched it, but my mum is like obsessed with that TV show. So it's just been on for the last for as far back as I can remember as TV being in my house. I can imagine my mum sitting there watching it. Every now and then I'd kind of dip in and see what's going on. So yeah, even though I've never watched it properly, I'm kind of familiar with that portrayal. I can't remember who the actor is who plays him in that, but it's pretty iconic. So that was kind of my understanding of Poirot. So yeah, I found him. It's the Albert Finney in this film. I found similar to you. I found him to be a bit annoying, particularly at the start. And it didn't really fit the rest of the tone of the film, which is kind of a theme or like the kind of the structure of these kind of whodunits. You see that in Knives Out, which is obviously influenced by something like Murder in the Orient Express. Like Benoit Blanc is very eccentric character, very very hammy. But for some reason, I don't know, it worked better in Knives Out. Can't actually put my finger on why. Whereas Albert Finney's Poirot kind of felt too silly and kind of dragged down the rest of the film for me. So that's kind of the big, obviously that's the significant performance in both films is the main detective. So Knives Out already got a one up on there. I think the rest of the performances in Murder on the Orient Express are all very good. I think Ingrid Bergman won an Oscar for this, which didn't strike me as an Oscar-winning performance as I was watching it, but I thought she was still pretty good. Anthony Perkins, interesting. I hadn't seen him in anything other than Psycho, so already have preconceived ideas about what his character is going to be like as you're watching it. So I was like, okay, he's going to be a bit dodgy, and the way he played it was quite a shifty guy. I thought was pretty good. But Knives Out, Ana de Armas, madness, great stuff. I think she should have been nominated that year. Just the way her kind of like innocence and how you're always rooting for her. You always feel like she's like a decent person, even though for a lot of the time you think that she's fucked up quite badly based on what happened at the start of the film. But her performance, she always feels kind of angelic. So yeah, overall, I think I'm gonna go for Knives Out performances, which is probably where I'm gonna lean in a lot of these categories. But we move. Ross, what are you thinking? Performances?
Yeah, I think as you were saying, like Albert Finney's portrayal is kind of it's very slapsticky and doesn't fit as like both of the detectives are like slapsticky in a way, but it works so much better in Knives Out. And I think that does affect kind of the film overall and like the performances as well. Albert Finney's kind of this like really over the top French accent that doesn't even sound like real, pretty much, or Belgian, whatever he's meant to be. That doesn't even sound real. Is it's quite weird, and I think it. Yeah, I mean, they're both got like stacked casts. Like I think like this kind of cast they have in the 70s is the same kind of caliber as the Knives Out cast from like today with the names in there. I mean, most of the time I go back to films like this old, I don't know a lot of names in there, but in this one having like Sean Connery, Anthony Perkins, Ingrid Bergman, that kind of stuff, it must be pretty stacked back then. So yes, it's an interesting one. As you say, like there's some decent performances in there. Like I like Ingrid Bergman is good, and I think Anthony Perkins does. Like it was interesting to see him in something else other than Psycho, and I did. He was somewhat enjoyable, but I think just kind of the overall performances and everyone in Knives Out, how everyone was like eccentric in a way, but not like too over the top with everything was a big thing. Like it's nice to see Jamie Lee Curtis in someone else. It's nice to see Chris Evans is something else as well, and I think both of them do really well. But I think Ana de Armas and Daniel Craig are just they're so good at what they do in this film and making you root for them to and them to be likable that it kind of it adds another level to the whole like the film overall, I think, and makes you, as I say, as a viewer rooting for them, it adds something else. So I'm gonna go for Knives Out as well.
I do think that is the great thing about this genre of film, just broadly. They just have been able to have like stacked casts and not feel like sometimes when you have like a stacked cast, some people can feel a bit on peripheral or not. You don't really get they don't really get to fulfill their full potential in the film. With the whodunits, like everyone kind of gets their piece of the action. But the only one I think Lakeith Stanfield, he feels a bit to the side a bit in Knives Out. Other than that, in both these films, I think they use the broadcast quite well. So yes, we both gone for Knives Out. Matt, are you also in that camp?
I think although the Orient Express is supposed to be kind of like a standout film for its time, I really don't think it is, to be honest. I think more so Knives Out, for all the films that have come out, kind of, especially kind of murder films or kind of films in that kind of genre, I think it does stand out now more than Murder on the Orient Express does. Especially, I remember watching it at the time like kind of 2 years before and after, kind of looking at it in hindsight now, I can really think that film really stuck out to me. And it was that kind of really fun but layered film with these actors that you're familiar with, but kind of branching out. Kind of Daniel Craig doing that role is kind of very different. And the only film I kind of really reminds me of is kind of Logan Lucky again, which is a very layered and complex and far out film. And I think in this, it just works way more. You invest more in the characters, and the characters kind of give more back, and it's funny and it's serious at the same time, and it works really well. And I think that's maybe what it has over Murder on the Orient Express. I don't think that was supposed to be funny, and if it was, it wasn't. And I think as well, Chris Evans, he's such a funny actor because he's so well known for Captain America. You always expect him to be like noble and just and modest, and in this, and I'm sure in a lot of other films, he plays that kind of completely energetic and powerful person who's also kind of cunning and crude, and it works really well in this. And those are the kind of characters, even though they're supposedly the bad guy, you end up rooting for anyway. Just you can't help it because they're so likable. So I think that this film as well works great, and I think the entitledness that all the characters have is played really well, and that's something that you want to watch people that get slapped in their face again. And when it does, that again it's kind of like a justice story, and I think the justice in this kind of works a little bit better than the justice in the one previously, because you can kind of see it unfold rather than it being an aforementioned kind of murder a long time ago. If that makes sense. So I definitely go for Knives Out for the performances, just because it's just so kind of enthralling.
Story. I feel like it's going to be a familiar pattern to this head-to-head. But yeah, I just wasn't. It's one of them, like I said, I think Murder on the Orient Express would be a very interesting novel to read. And there's a lot on the page. It just wasn't on the screen for me. At no point was I truly invested in this mystery and what happened. And the revelation of them all being involved, I liked the way it was shot and the staging of it and everything. But I wasn't like, oh my God, wow, what a revelation. Whereas Knives Out, you're on that ride from the outset in her plot to kind of cover up what she did, and then being a part of like Benoit Blanc's investigation whilst trying to cover up what she did at the same time, and all these other little things that are happening and people that are trying to blackmail her, and like I feel like it was a constant roller coaster right until the very end. And Murder on the Orient Express just could not compete with that. Ross, do you agree?
Yeah, 100%. Like as I was saying earlier, it's so much more layers and so much more like fleshed out. I mean, Murder on the Orient Express, like kind of do what you just said. I was never like fully invested. As I said, it was like introduce the characters, interview them all, then work out what happened. It was very like structured the way it all was, and kind of it didn't keep me like hooked and make me really want to know what happened. And it's like, yeah, when I found out that it was all of them, I wasn't like wowed in any way. I wasn't surprised. But I think Knives Out, because it does kind of twist and curve and like subvert your expectations in so many ways, and you know how you think you know what's happened at the start when Anna de Armas has the flashback and she's remembering what happens, like kind of slowly uncovering Chris Evans' part in it, and a lot of kind of what went on as well, and like Ransom as a character, kind of finding out more about him as it goes on as well. It's so much more just kind of fleshed out and interesting that as a whodunit, I haven't seen loads of whodunits, but this is probably the best whodunit I've seen, just because of the way it does kind of uncover stuff and make you're almost on this journey with Anna de Armas and Daniel Craig, trying to like fucking work out what happens, and like the confusion and why kind of Benoit can't figure out what's going on. It's a bit mad. So it right up to the last minute as well. So yeah, definitely Knives Out.
Also, just the kind of like political shit that he kind of weaves, Farron Johnson kind of just weaves in there in terms of like her ethnicity and the way they keep, like I can't remember what country she's actually meant to be. I feel like she's Cuban. That's where she is from in real life. I'm guessing that's where she's from in the film. But it's like something it want like Don Johnson to be like, oh, she's from Paraguay, and then someone be like, oh, she's from Chile, she's from Argentina. It's like not really yeah, not giving her the respect that she deserves and treating her as like, oh, you're part of the family, we'll look after you. And then when she's about to get her money, they turn on her instantly. And then you have that final closing shot of her. It's like, yeah, this is my house now, as they all stand stranded outside the front of their family home. So it's all good stuff in the story there. May, what do you think for story?
I think Ross is exactly right that the laying out of Murder on the Orient Express is very two-dimensional. It's kind of like there's this and then there's that, and then we're all going to sit down and figure it out together. It's kind of very, I suppose, when it's like the earliest of its kind of examples in cinema, then yeah, I suppose you can do that, but it's probably not even the earliest of its own examples. So why are you being so boring? And then the story in Knives Out, I think, is also interesting because you think you know who's done the murder straight away. The murder's already solved. She's just trying to get away with it. So then that's already a new premise on a murder mystery film. It's not kind of like you don't know. So you just kind of have to sit around and wait and find out. And if you're interested in finding out, then you'll be interested in the story. And if you're not interested, then it's going to be a pretty boring film. But now you're interested because you know what's happened and you need to try and figure out if she can actually escape this. And then when the layers come in after that, and then you see the same scenes repeated from different perspectives, it just gets more interesting from there. So I think it's a really expertly crafted story. So I'd go for Knives Out.
Knives Out, 2-0, racing into that lead as we go into visual style. And yeah, again, I fucking love the way Knives Out is shot. I don't know what it is like. If there's something about the cinematography, it feels sharp. The way the house look, I don't know how they managed to accomplish it, but it just looks, something about it just feels so like arch and sharp, fitting the title. Like there's something kind of black and white about the aesthetic of it, even though it's a colored film. So I really like the way Knives Out shot. There's some really good, cool touches in Murder on the Orient Express. Like it's directed by Sidney Lumet, like one of the great filmmakers. So it's obviously going to be. There's going to be a lot of special stuff, special sauce applied to that film. And like I said, I do like the scene when they're all stabbing, forget what his name is, Ratchet, whatever, stabbing the victim. And there's other little touches as well, like the exteriors of the train and stuff that are pretty cool. But yeah, once again, Knives Out gets my vote for visual style. Ross, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, Murder on the Orient Express does it does have like not special, like certain things about it that does kind of elevate it in certain ways. But I think Knives Out is just so well shot, and it feels so like sleek and like I don't know like how to put my finger on it. What it is, I mean, you got the whole like setting with the house and whatnot, that kind of old setting and everything about that, and I think it's cool, the room with the knives on the chair, that kind of stuff. But yeah, I can't even put my finger on it. It all just feels really kind of just like refined and like well finished. I don't know how to like put my finger on it and how to explain it, but there's something about Knives Out which it just looks like stunning, and I think that's a whole another part to it as well. I mean, Knives Out is shitting all over Murder on the Orient Express at the moment, but yeah, it's definitely got to go with Knives Out.
It's kicking the man when he's down. He's on the floor begging for mercy. Knives Out just won't take its knee off its shoulder. May, visual style.
It definitely has Knives Out definitely has the advantage of just being a new, crisp film, and then all the flourishes and crispness that looking at something in 4K has. But then added to that, I suppose it's also then got like 50 years worth of directors and cinematography and things to draw upon. But that doesn't mean it should be then handicapped for being a better film, because it is a better film. The way the shots are kind of drawn over the screen and the way it follows characters, and just the way the film just presents itself is really, really nice, and it's nice to watch. It's a vibe by itself, and also an old house as well, and just the level of detail on the characters, and also seeing the same scenes from different angles is something that always baffles me. I always wonder how they do that. Do they film it twice at the same time with two different cameras and edit out the other camera, or do they do the same scene twice with cameras from different perspectives? Like that as well is always kind of mesmerizing if I'm trying to look at how the character moves and if it's differently from last time. And it just works really, really well. And it doesn't hurt that Murder in Orient Express is flashbacks are some of those painful flashbacks I've ever seen. The way the screen swivels, even if it's for like a 2-second flashback, it swivels and then swivels again. And it does look like a PowerPoint slideshow, which I'm sure it was very cool at the time, but not so much now, I think.
So that's 3-0. Is it 3-0? 4-0? No, 3-0, yeah. Tone. It's a procession right now. Knives Out is just all over it. Just won't let go. It's just a much better film. It's just much more fun. The vibe of it is managed to have some serious subjects weaved in, but it's just incredibly fun. Kind of spoke about this in terms of the story. Always tone and story often overlap, but I guess the key thing is the fact that the Benoit Blanc character works as within like a complex story that's got some interesting ideas and a plot that actually has something for you to latch onto. You have this kind of comical character at the center, but it doesn't feel like he's trivializing everything around him. He feels like a legit. He actually feels like an actual detective somehow, even though he's so eccentric and out there. So I guess that's the key thing, and we've kind of already spoken about the Albert Finney portrayal and how that kind of negates certain aspects of that film. But beyond that, it just, it's very, the exposition in Murder in the Orient Express just is so exhausting. I found I was just never, I guess the key thing is we just never invested in the mystery at play there. So every time you're going into long details about Poirot's theories on what could have happened and everything, you're just not 100% in on what's going on. So yeah, tone once again, Knives Out. Ross, we gonna get anything for Murder on the Express? Or are we still on the train to Knives Out? See, what see that would be, by the way.
Well, no, it's obviously it's got to be Knives Out. I think Knives Out is just so, like, as you were saying, it's like fun the whole way through. You know, Benoit Blanc is eccentric in a good way, which Poirot isn't in this film. And yeah, it's just like a fun vibe, and you want to keep up with what's going on. You want to know what's happening. You want to be part of this. And I think just in Murder on the Orient Express, because it does have these kind of, as you say, it's quite a serious tone with what's going on, and like the kidnapping of the child, that kind of stuff, with like Poirot on top of it, who's just so like slapsticky and out of place within that setting. It doesn't feel right, and it doesn't kind of sit right, and it doesn't fit with the whole like overall tone of everything else that's going on. If Poirot was kind of the same but not, I don't, just he doesn't have to be like a script change or anything, just the same character but just not so over the top, then maybe it would be a lot more kind of a better watch, I think, and more kind of, it would make more sense within the what's going on. But I think just with Knives Out, because it is like, it's meant to be that kind of slapsticky way, the way Benoit Blanc is, and the whole story is quite fun. And it's the fact that kind of Christopher Plummer's character is like a murder writer, kind of a whodunit writer himself, and the whole thing kind of feels like it's his like jigsaw as well, and everyone's trying to figure out everything that's going on. It adds like this whole other layer to everything, and I think it's definitely got to go to Knives Out for this.
May, tone.
The tone was definitely more enthralling, I think, in Knives Out. Kind of throughout Murder on the Orient Express, it felt very similar and very drawn out, and especially the interviewing process, which made up the bulk of the film. It was just kind of slow, and I don't know. Poirot didn't seem to have kind of a level of superiority over anyone. He seemed to argue and get excited and give too much away just as much as everyone else did. So it just, I don't know, it just didn't feel very, it felt a bit clustered. And then Knives Out felt very directed and fluid and dynamic, and it moved through all the different kind of worries and then new threats and then those being dissipated, and then everything kind of changes really well throughout the film, and it just felt, I don't know, it felt natural. And it's kind of like a natural story through the ups and downs of everything that happens, and you're guided through that nicely. So I'd say give it to Knives Out.
4-0. The unique category, this could be like, the more intriguing mystery, I guess, but we're just going to give it to Knives Out again. So maybe we should just come over a category that only Murder on the Orient Express can win, just so we're not completely destroying it. Ross, what do you think? You got an idea?
Best boat.
Best boat?
Yeah, it's the only one that can win.
Is there a boat? Oh wait, yeah, just yeah. Yeah.
Or best train, maybe. I can't even think what it could win. That's how much Knives Out shits all over it. I don't know.
Best
Almost like
Christie adaptation.
Yeah,
You could have like most far-fetched solution or something.
To be fair, I think the opening, I really like the opening to Murder on the Orient Express. I think I prefer, it's got the better opening.
That was
opinion.
bullshit, to be honest.
All the title cards and everything, like without any dialogue, just revealing the initial tragedy.
That was one thing
that
it did that, like it with that tragedy and how that like became more relevant throughout the film as
Mm.
well. I think was one thing they did do well, I guess.
I liked Knives Out though, just because everyone was very laid out. You knew who was who, and you knew everyone in the house kind of from the get-go, because everyone was named. You'd seen them talk, you'd seen them interact with each other, and from that you got an idea of who everyone was. And then if you didn't, you still had the exposition over the top, and the kind of the what's it called? The interrogation was set out right from the start, basically, and that's how you get the story. Whereas you kind of had to watch the story sort of happen but not see it in Murder on the Orient Express. Then you got the interrogation for 40 minutes, and then you got him kind of explaining what he thinks happening, and then you saw like two different versions of it. I don't know. It didn't work how your brain works, I don't think. And I think Knives Out does. Yeah.
I think
So, bottom line,
Knives Out. What?
Murder on the
Do we
Orient
even
Express
need a last
gets a
category?
point. No, to be fair, should we just leave it as 4-0?
I think it's 4-0.
Agatha
What is-
Christie's a fucking mug.
What
That's
is
all I'm thinking.
he's a hack. She's a hack.
She's actually
She's-
she definitely got Ghost Riders, and they weren't around for this one.
She's a fraud. Yes, 4-0. We'll just keep the ball for the last 10 minutes. They're
I
trying to
always
score.
preferred Miss Marple anyway.
Let's keep it at the back. Knock it around. Keep ball. Yeah, that's cool. All right, 4-0. Head to head. Dominant. Right, Mini Driver. Give from one actor to the other actor. I'm not explaining all the rules again because we have such a devoted following of listeners who just know Wagwan at this point. So it's cool. Just doing one quick round. We'll make it a long. What do we normally do? Because we normally do 2 minutes for the last round in a full game. So we'll do 2 minutes. For once,
Right.
we're gonna link it in with the films we did in the head-to-head. So, one actor from Murder on the Orient Express, one actor from Knives Out. Who's going to decide what actors? I don't know.
Wait, not yet.
It makes the most sense. Like who we know other films from Murder on Orient Express. Like
Sean Connery.
Probably Sean Connery.
yeah,
To be honest.
Sean Connery makes most sense. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely Sean Connery. Actually,
I don't think I've ever known anyone so less ashamed of not trying to do any other accent than his own ever in cinema.
oh, yeah.
I think he was like a
Welcome
Russian
to the Rock.
submarine commander at one point. And he did a Scottish accent.
Yeah, the Hunt for Red October.
What do you want to do from Knives Out? Tony Collette?
Lakeith Stanfield.
Fucking hell,
Who?
all right. The black guy. The only black guy in the whole thing.
Mate doesn't know what black is.
He doesn't see color.
All right. You got a timer, Ross?
You want me to do it? Okay, hang on. I was doing my phone. I can't bother to screen share and stuff.
Makes sense.
2 minutes, yeah?
Yeah, 2 minutes.
Your 2 minutes starts now.
All right. Okay, so how do we want to approach this? It's been a while. Haven't podcasted in a while. Haven't played Mini Driver in a while. Although, to be fair, I was doing it by myself at work once. I was bored.
Just practicing.
Yeah. And someone came over and saw the sheet. I was like, what the fuck are you doing?
Do you explain the whole game to them?
Yeah. Not the intricacies of the rules, but yeah. Fuck.
The key stand feels quite a hard one to do.
Yeah. That's what I chose it. Because you want to get to him. And how do you get to him? Oh fuck. Let's just start listing. Let's just start.
Fucking hell.
You just want to get to him, but how do you get to him?
Fucking hell, there's only 40 seconds left.
Oh shit. Okay, this is a bit of a failure. Might just have to be long.
Oh, fuck. This is really hard. Should we do an extra minute?
Yeah.
Yeah, go on. To be fair, we can just keep doing it until someone gets there. Because it's a 1 round job. If someone gets there.
Yeah, first one there wins.
Okay.
Yeah.
Last
Let's
one they're
go.
losing.
Next goal wins.
Let's go wins, yeah.
That film's coming out soon. Taika Waititi.
Fuck.
I am a revolutionary.
I am revolutionary. This is so hard, what the fuck?
Yeah, why is this so hard? Hold on. Hold up. Oh no, I just had an idea for a second. It's just disappeared. I'm in G-Lock.
Done it.
Yeah, actually,
Yeah, go fuck yourself.
how many
Fuck.
links?
Don't you worry about me, mate.
More than 10.
No.
1, 2.
Yeah,
What? Links to the films, right?
yeah. Go on.
No, you're racing Ross now.
Okay. Fuck. I haven't wrote anything down in so long. I just got.
This is so hard, I can't even fucking think.
That's what she said.
Sweet.
How's he not been in a film with her?
What?
Actually, can't do this. Go back on myself. Fuck, I'm eventually gonna have to start again. Because you want to get fucking Bradley. There's definitely a better way to do it. because you've got. Oh, wait. Okay. So I've got an end link here.
Hang on. No. Fucking balls. What the hell am I meant to do?
You guys
You know-
are dumb.
I'm doing a reverse. I'm going back on myself. Doing a reverse attempt to try to force a link. Like, I don't know where it's going to end up. I'm just trying to force something. Because you can get from. Oh, wait. Yep.
Oh,
okay,
yes.
Okay. Fuck off. Fuck off.
I've done it.
Your mum. You haven't done it.
I have.
It's a lie.
I have. It's a long route, but I've done it.
Well,
Sweet.
I've done it as well.
Wait, how many is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah.
I got
Two.
6. Go on.
No, I've done 7.
Well, I have to wait for Matty anyway. Actually, no, you can go first.
You want me to go first?
Yeah.
All right, Sean Connery
Hmm.
is in The Rock with Nick Cage.
No, it's my go.
What do you mean it's your go? We'll do whoever did it and at least goes last.
Yeah.
I'll go first because I did it in most goes. Okay.
Oh, nice. Idiot.
Okay. Sean Connery's in The Rock with Nick Cage. Nick Cage is in The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent with Pedro Pascal, who's in Kingsman: The Golden Circle with Colin Firth, who's in Love Actually with Martin Freeman, who's in Black Panther with Daniel Kaluuya, who's in Judas and the Black Messiah with Keith Stanfield.
I'll use the Marvel link as well.
Oh, pussy.
Yeah, that's double. Wait, hang on. How many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so 7, including the double.
So I did. So yeah, Sean Connery to Nick Cage in The Rock. Nick Cage to Holly Hunter in Raising Arizona. Holly Hunter to Cruise in The Firm. Cruise to Christopher Plummer in Minority Report. And then no, he's not even in Minority. Oh fuck, no, forget it. I've got it.
You
That's
lost.
fucking Max. It's Max von Sydow. It's not Christopher Plummer.
They look the same, to be fair. We'll give it that.
Yeah, so I don't have it. Fuck.
Same person. So I went Sean Connery in the only film I knew he was in, which is Indiana Jones: Last Crusade, with Harrison Ford, who's in Blade Runner 2047, with Ryan Gosling, who's in
It's not a film.
what?
It's not a film.
It is a film.
Is that the prequel?
That's 2 years earlier.
What? Blade Runner 2047.
2049.
That's funny because I've actually written 2049. Can't fucking read. I thought you were saying, "Oh, came out in the future, did it?"
Blade Runner 2022. Yeah.
2049 with Ryan Gosling, who's in The Grey Man with Chris Evans, who's in Knives Out with Lakeith Stanfield.
Oh,
Nice.
fair.
I forgot he was in Indiana Jones, to be fair.
Or no.
That was hard. That was actually hurting.
Should we do one
Yeah.
more?
Nah, that was a solid round to
That was a good round.
fucking abandoned all.
I think
time
it works
constraints.
better when you just do it last one to finish.
That's not, I
Oh,
like
but
that.
then it doesn't
I like
matter
that.
about the links, actually.
I like that
Yeah,
whole
no,
game.
no. This was a one-off.
You need to work out a formula that takes into account the position that you finish in. That's what she said. And and the amount of links that you do it
Yeah,
in.
one for the boys in the lab.
Yeah, cool.
Victim's name is Leo Kopernik, sir. Seems he was killed in the costume store. And then he was deposited here. Staged, so to speak. Sorry, sir. How much
much longer do you intend to hold us all hostage?
Or is that the idea? Gather all the suspects and interrogate each of us in turn until the mystery's solved?
Marvin Cocker-Norris, overrated playwright.
Celebrated playwright?
Oh, I'm so sorry, sir. I can't read my own handwriting.
There was an incident.
I'll kill you.
It's as good as a confession.
Let's not jump to conclusions, Constable.
What do we have here? Working late, huh?
He killed Kopernik to hush up the affair. Case closed. I'm doing it again, aren't I, sir? Jumping to conclusions.
A little bit.
You've never heard of Richard Attenborough.
A real-life detective.
I understand that you came to blows the night in question.
It was me, Inspector.
I arrest you for the murder of Leo Copernik.
We have a serial killer on the loose.
Please, stand back!
He keeps the key! Under the mat.
We are no longer merely suspects. We are also potential victims.
So what did he do that made you suspicious? It wasn't so much what he did, it was more the way he did it. How did he do it? Sort of suspiciously. Right.
See How They Run. In the West End of 1950s London, plans for a movie version of a smash hit play come to an abrupt halt after a pivotal member of the crew is murdered. See, I haven't seen it. Do I want it? Would it be bad if it's spoiled? Or will I still be able to watch it and it'll be fun? Really? Fair. So I was gonna watch it, but then the Queen died and then they didn't open cinemas today. So it's a bit annoying. But they have the chance over the weekend. So See How They Run. Fine. I'll start saying listen then. See How They Run. Matty, Ross, you've seen it. Did a couple of Whodunnits in the head-to-head. How does this compare? Where is this on the scale in that genre, May?
I was quite looking forward to seeing this film because I like Sam Rockwell. He's one of my more favorite, but kind of like lower key actors. He always plays kind of like supporting roles, it seems like. This film looked like quite interesting, similar to a lot of films that are coming out right now that seem to have like very good casts and kind of medium to high budgets, which is nice. However, I didn't really enjoy it at all. I thought it would be a lot better, and it was okay. Like it was like a solid okay film to watch, and I think the 6.8 IMDb's given it so far is completely fair. It didn't really do anything crazy. It didn't really go above and beyond. And then with having Knives Out just in my mind and me thinking it'd be something like that, it wasn't, which is fine. But I think it had a lot more room to be charming or funny or anything else, or more complicated, or I don't know. It just didn't really hit any box in particular. It just kind of went straight down the middle, and then basically got you to the end of the film kind of as quickly as it could. And it seemed quite kind of self-aware. It was almost like a Deadpool film. It was making jokes about itself, and then the way it finished as well was kind of making a joke about something they'd said at the start and then turning it into the end of the film, which is like, oh, that's cool, but it's kind of like, okay. And the reveal as well, we can probably talk about the reveal without ruining it for you by not saying who, but it's just kind of like a character that just had like maybe 4 minutes screen time anyway, so it was kind of like came out of nowhere. And the relationship, I think, between the constable and the inspector could have been better. Like they had lots of opportunities to expand on that and they didn't really. But I think that's because I went in with the mindset of it being like Knives Out. So I don't know what you thought about it, Ross, but what do you think?
Yeah, so again with this one, I was quite like underwhelmed with the whole like ending. And as you said, the kind of it being the murderer being who it was, kind of being someone who was pretty irrelevant to the overall like happenings was yeah, so like very underwhelming in a sense. And you know, I did enjoy like performances within the film. I thought Adrian Brody was really good. Sam Rockwell does a really good English accent, which is fair enough, and that he was quite good as well. And I think people were good individually in their performances. There wasn't anything that was probably one of the stronger points of the film, but I think just kind of another one where I'm not fully invested in actually like finding out who committed the murders. I mean, more so, I'd say more so than Murder on the Orient Express, but less so than Knives Out. So somewhere between that, I think. But yeah, as you were saying, Matty, like it should it should have a good relationship between Sam Rockwell and Saoirse Ronan, having like almost like a buddy cop kind of relationship thing. But at one point in the film, their relationship kind of goes to shit, and after that point, it never is the same again, and kind of ends on like a weird note between the two characters. And yeah, I just don't really know how to feel about this film. It's quite an odd one, because at first, yeah, I felt very underwhelmed about it. Then when I came out and thought about it more, I was like, it was okay. Like, it wasn't terrible. I enjoyed it, but you know, like when you compare it, when like recent whodunits come out, like Knives Out have come out, it's hard to not compare it to that and think of just how much better something like Knives Out is. And again, it's about fleshing out a story, and I think Whodunit's just trying to be so like funny in the fact that it's in its self-awareness that it kind of I don't really know how to explain it. It kind of removes from the story, like it's hard to explain. It is really hard to explain because it's fairly forgettable as well. A film, I think it's good. It's good. It's okay, but it's not. I don't think I'll ever go and rewatch this. To be honest, it's hard to even think about what to say about it because it doesn't feel like loads happens really.
I think there were. Now I just listened to myself talk about it. I was a little bit harsh because there were some moments that were actually really nice in the film, and the relationship between Sam Rockwell, the constable, it literally is like 55% there. Like it starts off really well and it builds towards something, but then you're right, because then it breaks off and then it never really kind of kindles properly, which is a shame. But the acting all round is actually really good individually, again, as you say. And there are some slight twists in the story that I really did enjoy, especially with the inspector, and the assumptions that are made. But then when that's kind of like over again and then it's back to the story, I kind of wished it stayed with that line of thought. That could have been better. That would have been something you wouldn't usually have seen. Yeah, I definitely wouldn't watch it again, and I think it could have been better in a lot of places, which is a shame because I actually really do like this cast quite a lot. Yeah, I don't really have much more to say about it actually. Anything to say, Ross?
I can't really think of much else. I mean, it's quite as I say, it's fairly forgettable. It's not. It's yeah. It's just hard to think of what to even say about it because it is kind of. It kind of finished, and I was like, oh, nice.
Yeah, I think it had a lot of potential, and kind of it just felt a little bit empty, which is a shame. But maybe we just kind of hold things in too high of a stead now. So like when I left the cinema, a lot of people were saying they really enjoyed it, which is fair enough, but you're wrong. Yeah.
From the bits that I've seen, the tone of it seems like it would appeal to me. First of all, Saoirse Ronan getting to do her actual accent for once in a film was pretty fun. Like, I saw the scene when I was doing screen checks the other day. I saw the scene. I think maybe it's just after a murder's taken place, and she's like in the cinema, and she's not letting someone in, not realizing that it's Sam Rockwell who's her boss. Like that little exchange was very quaint and funny. So if that's like the vibe they're going for, I could see myself connecting with that. Maybe it's just over the course of 90 to 100 minutes, there's not enough. It sounds like you say there's not enough like meat on the bone to keep you like Knives Out to keep you on the ride. But I feel like this the vibe of it. Maybe it could still be fairly fun, like kind of harmlessly fun. Nothing you're gonna come back to, but it's just in a decent time while you're in there. I don't know.
Yeah, I think this is like a good example where the performances are good, the cinematography is actually really good, but the story isn't there, or like it's only like 55% there, and that really shows. I think you kind of need all three of those things to work.
Yeah.
What's Adrian Brody like? He seems like he's doing Wes Anderson stuff. That kind of the character he plays in Wes Anderson films. That's the vibe I'm getting from the trailer. What's he like?
Yeah, that's a good way. I literally was saying that to Leo only after I watched it. It's like he basically is playing the same character. Like it's very, in the way, kind of Wes Anderson's characters are like quite like weird and eccentric. He's quite like that again. And I think the comedy they've gone for in this is almost kind of Wes Anderson-esque. A little bit like slapsticky, quite like subtly funny.
It's very politely funny.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. And like that was a strong point of the film. There was like at no point was it like laugh out loud like funny, but it was like I was like nose breathe like throughout the whole film, and it was in that kind of way. And yeah, and I think this is one of them films where the trailer like slaps, and it kind of raises your expectations for the film because the trailer does slap so much, and it really made me look forward to the film watching the trailer. But I think that's another reason as to why it didn't deliver as much as I was hoping it would. But yeah, I feel like in a way we're being quite harsh on it just because of kind of just being disappointed with the story and the overall kind of ending. But everything technically about it, the way it was edited, the characters, kind of the performances, the cinematography is all technically pretty outstanding, to be honest. And like, yeah, as I say, written in a way that is entertaining through comedy, but maybe written in a story sense, not as kind of entertaining.
No, I agree with that. I think as well, like I'd watch a TV series of like this. Like if it wasn't supposed to be as packing a punch like that on an episode level, that would have been really nice. Yeah, I think it just needed a little bit more something to dig into, or meat on the bone, as Leon says. I think that's it just wasn't as much as you're used to, I guess.
Fair. I still feel I'm gonna check it out. because I was quite excited when the trailer dropped.
No, it does have some redeeming qualities, and I think it's not bad. It's just not outstanding, which is sometimes I kind of look for now in films, which is a shame.
Yeah, especially for all we've praised Knives Out to the hilt in this episode, and when you watch that, I watched that in the cinema as a whodunit, and you walk out like, that could be nominated for Best Picture, kind of levels of quality. So it's good. It's hard to anything that's coming after that. We literally got a Knives Out film coming out again in 2 months, I think, coming to Netflix. That'll
be interesting if it can live up to what's come before it, to be honest.
And he's saying he literally just wants to carry on making like Benoit Blanc murder mysteries. Ryan Johnson's been saying that. So could get a few more. So it'd be interesting to see if the level of quality holds up. All right, cool. That's our first podcast for a while recording. Shaking off the rust.
There's a lot of collateral damage to that one as well. We seem to accidentally taken out a 50-year-old murder mystery classic that it's rubbish. We shot down this week's cinema release as well.
Sidney Lumet, Agatha Christie, frauds. That's the headline from this podcast. All right. At Corona Cinema on Instagram, at Liam Waite 98 on Twitter, Spotify, Apple, Google, Amazon, Stitcher, Podbean. Next time we are doing because Don't Worry Darling comes out this weekend, but we're not doing that as a review for let's celebrate Florence Pugh. He's been in the entertainment news a lot with the train wreck of a publicity tour that's been happening around Don't Worry Darling. So I'm interested to see how bad this film actually is when it comes out, because if it's as bad as everything that's happened before it and surrounding it, could be a bit of could be quite interesting. But yeah, we're doing a couple of Florence Pugh films, quite different ones. One of Lady Macbeth, one of her earlier films, and then Fighting with My Family, which is, I think, I can't remember if we've done Little Women. We definitely did Midsummer.
No, I don't
That was
think
that. Because like, yeah, Fighting Family was the other film in the like trifecta of her amazing 2019. We just had a big kind of breakthrough. So yeah, Macbeth versus Fighting My Family, Florence Pugh in the head-to-head, and then Blonde, Andrew Dominic, Ana de Armas, Marilyn Monroe biopic experience extravaganza thing. Heard some mixed stuff about that so far. That's coming to Netflix in a couple of weeks. So until then, go on.
Cheers.
Cheers.